Hello, hello. This is Elise with Lucy Covey Creative, and I am here today to do a little bit of a belated summer solstice tarot card reading. So I do something a little bit unique with my card readings, and I pull from many decks, but then at the end I write a poem based on the imagery of what came up in the cards. So that's what we're gonna do today. I've been trying to get to this all week. I know the solstice was on Tuesday, but I figure that the sort of intuition or guidance that I wanted to pull for today is really going to be about the next 6 months, like the whole half of a year that the solstices mark. So I figure a couple days late isn't gonna change all that much. So this is gonna be a reading for just guidance on what to focus on in your life over the next 6 months. And so I started out here, I pulled the zodiac sign cards from my own Universe Within deck, which this is currently a project on Kickstarter. It did not get funded the last round, so we're kind of taking time to reboot a little bit of it. And actually the Gemini card is one that I'm probably gonna change a little bit, along with a couple others before we relaunch it. But you can still follow it on Kickstarter and get all the details there for when it goes live again. But I just pulled out a couple cards from this deck to kind of, I don't know, highlight or headline this reading. So this is the Know the Universe, Know Thyself affirmation card, which I just love that because it encompasses the as above, so below so well. And that is one of the best things I think about astrology, is that you can use these archetypal signs in the sky to not only learn more about the universe and how it works and how it's all connected, but specifically about the different how all the different archetypes affect yourself and your own soul. And obviously there's tons that we could get into here, but for now I just pulled these three. So the sun is in Cancer right now, so I wanted to show the Cancer card, and since this is a reading all about the solstice, I figured we should have the sign that the sun is currently in represented. So right now, I don't know if this was true, it probably wasn't on the actual solstice on Tuesday, but right now, while I'm doing this reading, the moon is in Taurus, so I pulled out the Taurus card as well. And I love that this card connects so much to Venus, just in the, I mean, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and it's a very Venusian body, embodiment, beauty, lush card. So this is kind of like the perfect archetype of Venus. And then actually I pulled the Gemini card out as well because both Mercury and Venus right now are in Gemini. And so since we're talking about the kind of big moves and themes and things to look for and guidance for the next 6 months, typically what that's going to look like for everyone is some combination of Venus and Mercury, because Venus has to do with your body, your health, also love life, obviously. That's something that people typically want guidance on, or just relationships in general. And then Mercury rules communication and wealth, money. So I kind of feel like I did not intend this because I just was going by, you know, honoring where the stars and things are right this moment as I'm doing this reading. But I kind of find it perfectly fitting that the signs that came up are Venus and Gemini, because that's just gonna encompass, I think, a lot of what this reading is gonna wind up being about for the next 6 months. So that's just kind of fun. So I'll have these, like I said, just there to headline the reading, and we will see how they play into the rest of the cards. So most of what I have here is tarot cards. Like I said, I like to pull multiple cards from multiple decks. In the future, as I do more of these videos, I am planning to do multiple like sets. So it'll be kind of a pick a card or pick a pile, and then we'll delve into each pile. But today, like I said, have been trying to get to this all week, and it has just been a difficult week for that. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to do one giant one, and I think that there will be enough here that everyone can kind of pull their own lesson and guidance out of it. So obviously some messages today are going to be for certain people. If it's not for you, just, you know, leave it alone. Take what resonates and leave the rest, is something I have seen and heard often, and I really love, and just reiterate that for everyone watching. So this is a brand new deck I got. This is the Letters Tarot, the energy of Hebrew letters. I'm really fascinated, and eventually in my podcast I'm going to be talking about the connection between the Hebrew letters and the tarot. So I was really excited to find this in my local little mystical shop, because I am still definitely learning about it. So just gonna cut this deck. Ooh, okay. So I feel like actually these two are the ones that want to come out, even though that's not where the deck split. Okay, so the first cards from the Letters Tarot, we have the Emperor, which is card number 4. And I'm maybe not going to pronounce these right. If anyone knows the correct pronunciation, please let me know. But the letter here, it looks like he. And the meaning is divinity, distinction, and specificity. Reach a higher perspective that enables you to see the whole picture. So that kind of just feels like what we're doing today a little bit. Let's see. This card is the Magician, and it is the letter. This is the first. Actually, I think that's not true. I think the Hebrew alphabet starts with 0. Yeah, so 0 would be the Fool, 1 is the Magician, and so this is the second letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and it is Beth, or Beth perhaps, and this is duality, diversity, plurality, and blessing. Trust in the universe and remain playful with whatever it brings your way. I love that. Yeah, I feel like these two are just kind of headliners also. We'll see how it plays out, but these feel like good summaries for whatever is going to come up here today. So this next deck that I'm using is the Oracle of Mystical Moments, and this is one of my favorite decks specifically for what I do in the poetry aspect of my readings because the imagery is just gorgeous. Like every card is just really unique and gorgeous and very kind of creative and intuitive. So this is just the perfect deck for what I'm doing with like intuitively interpreting the images in the poetry. Okay, so what is the guidance for the next 6 months, please? All is connected. Okay, so we've got a girl who is sitting on a tree stump here. And as you can see, the roots of the tree are kind of going down into the ground. Her hair is blowing in the wind. And she's kind of plucking a leaf, which is connected by a spider's thread to all the other leaves. That's very cool. So I feel like this is ironically kind of connected to these 2 Hebrew letters tarot cards that we pulled, because the Emperor is talking about the higher perspective that enables you to see the whole picture. And the Magician is trust in the universe and like remain playful. So that is, I feel like, very much represented in this card, where she's like just playing with literally the leaves that are blowing through on the wind. So, okay, we've got a lot of messaging here about like the whole picture, and I feel like seeing yourself as part of the whole and trusting that everything is connected. Let's see what this book has to say. So the book says innovation, transformation, growth, and release. A girl sits on a tree trunk and holds leaves in her hands while others blow away in the wind. A small spider holds a few leaves together with his fine filament, even though the wind threatens to tear them apart. Don't be afraid of changes. Release the fear by letting go. Change is hard and often painful, but it is the only way to grow. You may drift, but you will never lose yourself. Life goes on and nothing ends. It is reshaped into something new by the wind. Not better or worse, but different. And in that change lies wonder and openings. Okay, so we've got the wind blowing in, big change, but the reminder doubly to see things from the whole picture, higher perspective, and trust in the universe, and remain playful with whatever the wind blows in your way. So let's see if we can get a little more specific on what the wind might be blowing in for everyone. This deck is The Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reed. This is another one that I really love just for the gorgeous, gorgeous imagery and symbolism. I feel like that card. So yeah, let's get a little more specific, please. Oop. What is blowing in on the wind? What is the change that is going to be occurring over the next 6 months for the collective and everyone watching today? What is the change and guidance about the change for everyone watching today? Okay, so several cards jumped out here. Let's do in order. So we have the 8 of Earth. This is such a beautiful card. Okay, so we've got Earth, so having to do with, you know, the earthly, material, monetary side of things for sure. The violin, so I feel like this is somehow both very structured and like harmonious is the word that's really coming to mind. So there's a really nice balance here in just the arch of this. And then obviously like a violin evokes the sound of the orchestra. And I feel like that's kind of tied into this whole picture higher perspective thing, because you're, you know, an orchestra is not a single instrument. It's a whole orchestra of instruments all playing together. So this feels both balanced, but also like it's cracking. So there's one little figure here kind of dancing on the side, and that all feels bright and lovely. But over on this side, it looks a little bit like, I mean, it's a little hard to tell if that's a crack or a root just coming down. And it is rooted into the stone here, but I feel like this message is about balance and almost like balance in the sense of riding your bike. So when you're riding a bike, you stay balanced as long as you keep moving. And in this case, maybe it's keep playing, whether that be music or dancing like she's doing here. And yeah, just kind of keeping growing and keeping moving. And that is what creates the harmony. Okay, the next one that came out is the World. So this is exciting. This is a very, I mean, we've already got, this is the third now, trump card. And it's literally the World. The final kind of like, this is the attainment, the end goal. This is a really interesting card though, because there's just like in the imagery and the way that this is laid out, we've got something that looks like a faint planetary object down here. Then we obviously have the world itself, which I find really interesting, just where exactly the globe is placed. But I'm gonna leave that discussion for another time. And then we've got another celestial body up here, which at first glance kind of looks like a planet, but then if you look much closer, you see the faint outlines of the sun and the moon. And then we've got this big sort of solar gold circle up here with the key. So that is just really fascinating, all the imagery that's woven into this. And I feel like the message here is sort of to keep going. That's the message here. Keep going, keep creating the harmony, keep creating the music, keep growing. And then this is talking about the ultimate goal, But I feel like the message here is that the ultimate goal is maybe not what we think it is. So the world is normally talking about like the end of the cycle, the attainment of the story. I mean, it's the 21st trump card. It's the last one. And it's like everything because it's the world. But the way that this is laid out, there's the sun and moon, which is also kind of about balance, you know, because the sun is the yang and the moon is the yin. And the way that they're together as one is also kind of indicating that to me. And then there's this golden key disc above even the sun and the moon. So I feel like this is about like continuing on past what you think the ultimate goal is. Let's see what the next cards are. Oh, okay, we've got the Two of Air. So air is about thought, communication, logic often. The sign of air is related to the swords in traditional tarot. And so this is a really exotic dancer. She's got like skirts with feathers here. She's got a headdress with feathers, and then she's got two little birdies, one on each hand. They both have crowns. And then her kind of heart center space here, it really almost looks like a stained glass window, which stained glass windows are so cool. The guilds that made those and like the true Gothic cathedrals of Europe, they had a method of creating the glass, which is sort of an alchemy all on its own. And it was like modern stained glass workers and modern builders have no idea how the people in the like 1100s, 1200s, they don't know how they did it, because they managed to make the glass look like the light is pouring out of it, like coming from the glass rather than just shining through it, which is what's actually happening. And there was an Egyptologist, and I'm spacing on his name now, but he had like studied ancient texts of Egypt and was like mostly known for that. I think he was the same guy who first proposed that the Sphinx was older than modern Egyptology says it is. But he also is like the only person in modern times who was ever able to recreate stained glass the same way that the guild builders and masons who were building those Gothic cathedrals created it. So that's a side tangent, obviously, but I feel like the message here is kind of about dancing with the thoughts represented by the birds. And I feel like this is actually divine thoughts and ideas. So this card looks to me like it's about the dance of inspiration and like letting that light emanate from you rather than filtering through you, which is a subtle difference, but it's still a difference. And I feel like that is maybe the key that, here, I'm gonna move these so you guys can see a little bit better. So we've got the kind of harmony of the violin and the continued motion here. And then this is also kind of like continued motion, but it's incorporating the divine, I think, for sure. And I feel like those two together, if you do those two, then you will actually attain more than what you even thought that the end goal was. You will attain this like whole higher plane. So let's see what this last card is. Ooh, the Queen of Water. Okay, this is a gorgeous card. And like, it's not, it's so, she's just so calm and peaceful, and her head is held high, her eyes are closed, she's very trusting. Obviously the queen is the feminine royalty, divine feminine embodiment of the element of water, which is in traditional tarot, it's the cups. It is all about emotions, and you know, the watery things like Cancer. It's about like your feelings, your emotions, how those move through you. It's also about nurturing, about the home, about relationships. And this is the queen. So this is the energy of the most noble, you know, her head is held high. She's peaceful. She's confident. She is calm. And she gets everything that she wants because of that. So like, she's not rocked by the waves that come through. And I feel like that is a part of this message too, you know? So we've got like the winds of change are blowing, but we've got both the Emperor and the Queen of Water in this reading, reminding you that like you have the ability to stay in that higher perspective, to see the whole picture, to not be swayed by turbulent waters, and by these winds of change, and to really just like dance with the winds. So air is also obviously windy, or the wind is connected to the air. But this is not a turbulent, crazy time. This is a dance. It's a dance of co-creation. And through that, you become the Queen of Water, you become the magician. And that's how you attain not just the world, but beyond. You attain the stars as well. So this is a really powerful reading. I still feel though like we're not very specific, and maybe that's partly my fault for how we framed it, just talking really generally about both Mercury and Venus, and you know, having the openness so that this applies to enough people. I feel like though everyone watching is going to know what this is talking about. So think about the goals that you have in your own life for the next 6 months or so in relationship to either money, career, wealth, or relationships and Venus. I will say that this is all a lot more earthy. Like, yes, 2 of air and the wind here are kind of connected to Mercury, because Mercury is that divine messenger and the thoughts. So like these divine thoughts are definitely Mercury. And like the wealth that's here is definitely related to Mercury. So I feel like actually this is about seeing the higher picture that connects Mercury and Venus, honestly, which is really interesting and not something that I expected. But yeah, like it's kind of about the way that the beauty and the messages of the divine connect in your whole life over the next 6 months. Obviously, if you do have like a goal in mind, this is telling you that there's even more than you were thinking already. But yeah, I do feel like this is still pretty big picture. So let's see, the Good Tarot deck also comes with affirmations. So I actually am gonna read all of these here quickly, just because I think that whatever card is most resonating with you right now, of these 4 especially, is gonna have some special messages for different people, and like it's gonna hit differently depending on who you are in your situation. So I'm gonna read each of these real quick. So for the 8 of Earth, oh whoops, nope, I'm on the wrong page of the book. 1 second, sorry about that. Okay, the 8 of Earth is about apprenticeship, gaining knowledge, learning and employing a new craft or skill. Okay, so this is specifically not just continuing going with what you're already doing, but continuing to grow, like I said, and so you're adding new skills, new harmonies. So the affirmation tied to this card is, even masters of their craft have more to learn, and I eagerly embrace the opportunity to go deeper, develop a greater understanding, and find new ways to apply what I know. I acknowledge all I have learned and accomplished, the skills I have developed, and the goals I have reached. Now is the time to find new ways to apply what I know to enhance my expertise. My beginner's awkwardness has melted away, and I know what I am doing now. I have the confidence to become more intimate with the work in all areas of my life. Okay, so yeah, this is exactly spot on. And it's like just so perfectly tied to just my intuitive interpretation of this one, of just like there's another level there. Okay, so the World is about perspectives. And the affirmation is, I am being called to shift my perspective on my life now. When I remember I am first and foremost an immortal soul experiencing life as a human being, I have no fear. I can see clearly that I am a powerful co-creator in a divine partnership with Spirit. Aligning myself with Spirit, remaining unattached to outcomes, I am a conduit for miracles. So yes, basically when you dance with the divine, when you sharpen those skills and keep playing in the harmony, you attain even more than you think you can. Okay, the 2 of Air is, so this says stalemate, uncertainty, and considering options. It is time to take a break to consider my options and think about things. There is no need to rush forward. The perfect answer for the highest good will come to me if I take my time and remain in a peaceful state of mind. Wow, I can't believe how interconnected these cards are. So this Queen of Water is exactly that peaceful state, peaceful, queenly state to embody as you are doing your dance with the different thoughts and ideas and kind of deliberating on how you can keep going in order to reach beyond your goals. That's so crazy. Okay, so then the affirmation for the Queen of Water. Is compassion, emotional security, generosity, self-love and self-care, and a healer. I am comfortable in my own skin. I love, cherish, and nurture myself. I am the best friend to myself. My relationships with others reflect my security in knowing I am always worthy of love and respect. I heal myself so that I can be the change I want to see in the world, and so my compassion can inspire others. Okay, so with this, I'm actually getting another message here, which is just about, like, we've been talking about the levels and kind of going deeper and achieving even higher planes. But I feel like especially with the Magician and the Emperor and this Queen, that it's really about digging deeper into yourself, which is kind of ironic because I pulled this Know the Universe, Know Thyself card out just because I love it. And then here I feel like it's showing up in the reading as the answer. So like when these winds of change blow, whatever it is, you need to be able to both dance with the new ideas, dance with that divinity, emanate the divinity from your heart out. But in order to do that, I feel like the answer is here in this Queen of Water card about really being grounded and confident and stable and like love yourself, get to know yourself really, really intimately. And that is what is going to enable you to dance with the winds of change rather than being uprooted by them. And I feel like this card too was also about really getting to know yourself and really deepening the layers of your skill. But I feel like too that it's about deepening your roots. And you know, Earth is typically the sign of material and money, but I feel like in this case it's also kind of about literally just getting to know your body. And I feel like for some people that self-love and that self-care and healing and rooting down in your body is like so that that divinity can shine out and emanate from it. I feel like in the message for everyone is to do that, and how it manifests in your life or what area of your life it affects, whether that's your relationships with others or your business or your work or career or your money, like all of those things are things that are affected by that deeper relationship with yourself. So actually, I think I was looking for more clarity, and I feel like that is the clarity, is that it doesn't have to be more specific for certain people because the specific thing is the same, and then what changes is just going to be exactly how it plays out in your life, you know? Okay, so I do really want to incorporate the imagery of these other two decks because I love them. So this is the Star Child Tarot, and I just love this on the inside of the box. We are all stardust. Isn't that the truth? So I'm just going to pull one card each from these other two decks, and I'm going to specifically ask that we get a little more guidance as to how to ground down and get to know yourself better, because that's, you know, something we all throw around these days of, oh, just love yourself. But I feel like there's very little advice out there on practically how do you do that. So let's just get a little guidance from Spirit on how we are advised to get to know ourselves better. Okay, this one definitely wanted to come out. And then this final deck is the Shadowscapes Tarot deck, which I don't even have the box or anything for. It's my oldest deck and my favorite, and okay, that just popped right out there. I'm gonna actually shuffle though and get one more card. So give us a little bit of guidance as to how we are supposed to be getting to know ourselves here. That one. All right. So in order to really get to know ourselves on a deeper level, ooh, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so this is actually really fascinating because I was just recently listening to a podcast by Randall Carlson, and he is an amazing wealth of crazy symbology and meaning and significance and all of it. He's so good. But he was talking about how, like, he was specifically talking about the Wheel of Fortune card in tarot and in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, how the symbolism that is embedded into that deck and that card specifically is pointing to comets and the just larger cycle of the great year, which is the cycle of precession. It's the just huge cosmic cycle that the earth and the planets and everything go through. And he was talking about how the wheel is actually a representation of the zodiac deck, or like the zodiac, you know, the wheel of the zodiac. So this is a common representation because, you know, the sun moves through each of these signs in the year, and that, like, we are in Cancer right now, and then we'll go into Leo, and then Virgo, and then Libra, and then Scorpio, and all the way back around until next June, next summer solstice, we will be back in Cancer. And so that is the cycle that the world, the planet, goes through each year, each 365 days, as we cycle the sun. But then there's this much larger cycle that we also go through that is based on the sign that the sun is in on the, I believe it's actually the spring equinox. And that's what the ages are based on. So like right now, we are at the end of the age of Pisces, moving into the age of Aquarius. And because of how the constellations are laid out in the sky, there is a little bit of overlap. So like we're not truly in the age of Aquarius for another, I think it's 200 to 500 years. But we're starting to move into it a little bit and out of, we're just at the very end of Pisces. And I actually did painted digitally, I painted a star map of the sky of sunrise at the spring equinox and like what the stars actually looked like and for this year. And it was really fascinating, and I learned a lot just in doing that painting. And so like I can confirm that we are there's just a tiny little bit of Pisces, like the tail end of Pisces, that is still definitely where the sun is rising. So we're getting close to the age of Aquarius, but we're not there yet. But anyway, so let's see, this is Aquarius, the water bearer, and this is Pisces. So the zodiac year, as we orbit the sun, goes clockwise around the wheel of the zodiac. But the great year cycles is called the precession of the equinoxes, and it actually goes the other way. It goes counterclockwise. So we're currently in the age of Pisces, and we're about to enter into the age of Aquarius. And then in, I think it's something like 26,000 years, we will be back in the age of Pisces. We will have completed the whole circuit. So anyway, he was just talking about how the Wheel of Fortune card, which traditionally is talking about how fortunes change and things change constantly, and we're just constantly in these different cycles, and that is you know, like the only constant is change, that quip. And so we have to learn to adapt to that, but also it becomes predictable. So like the Wheel of Fortune card is typically a reminder that like if you are on top and you are loving life and everything is going well, be mindful and remember that that's not always going to be the case. And subsequently, if you're on the bottom right now and everything is shit and nothing is going well, take hope because the wheel turns. And so Randall Carlson's talking about how this is a theory and reminder that was developed based on these larger eon cycles, because literally, depending on where we are in the galaxy, changes whether or not we're encountering meteors and comets and like other planets, and that is also a dependable cycle. So yeah, I feel like this is actually just about, I mean, there's a literal interpretation of this card in the answer to our question of like, how do you dig deeper into yourself and knowing yourself on a deeper level? And that answer of the Wheel of Fortune, which this is a card that just popped right out, could literally be my whole know the universe, know thyself astrology deck here, which unfortunately is not going to be ready just yet. But you know, you don't need my deck to really dig into your own zodiac, your chart, your astrology. Like, start learning how these archetypes and these cycles and the astrology and the zodiac impacts your actual life based on your natal chart, which you can look up online. Like Cafe Astrology, so many places will show you your natal chart for free. So start there, it seems like. But I also feel like it's also just about kind of getting to know your own routines, like making note and being mindful of the cycles that your life goes through, whether that's like a weekly cycle or a monthly cycle or whatever it is. Maybe if you are female and you're going through menstrual cycles and bleeding, or you're having menstrual cycles and bleeding at all, start to really hone in and pay attention to what those cycles actually are. Maybe see how they align with the moon. Maybe just paying more attention to the cycles of the stars and all of the astrology, because I mean, like, we started this whole reading with these 3 cards, which are all about where these celestial bodies are literally right now, which I just found out by looking up my app. It's called Time Passages. If you want to download it, go for it. So the sun is in Cancer right now, the moon is in Taurus right now, and Venus and Mercury are both in Gemini right now. And all of that changes. Like, so the sun changes every month. Obviously, that's the zodiac signs that we're mostly familiar with. The moon changes every, I think it's like 36 hours or something like that. It's not quite every day. It's a little more than a day, I believe. And then like Venus, Mercury, all of the planets all have their own different cycles. So maybe this is just saying to start kind of paying attention to that and start tracking that in your own journal along with how it seems to affect your mood. So if you start tracking where, you know, start with just the sun, or the sun's a little bit of a long cycle. I would definitely start with the moon, and maybe pick just one or two planets. You know, if you're overwhelmed by all of them, then just pick one or two and just start tracking. Like, Venus is related to emotions. So as Venus cycles through the different signs, how do your own emotions cycle, and like, can you find any patterns? And you just do that by starting to record it. And then after a long enough time, a month or two, you get some data, and then you can look back on the data and start to find patterns if they're like whatever the patterns are. Okay, so the Eight of Pentacles. See, this is just confirming everything I just said. I feel like it's interesting that the Eight of Earth is also, so we've got the Eight of Pentacles here twice, which is about routine and diving deeper into that routine, essentially. Because this card was talking all about like really honing your skill and kind of taking it to the next level, kind of diving deeper in order to go up. This card, like in this deck, I know that the Eight of Pentacles, it's about the spider, and like she weaves the web every single night. It's about dedicated, repetitive, skillful work. So yeah, this is absolutely everything I was just saying about getting to know yourself by recording your own patterns in a very like methodical, dedicated, routine way, and also just examining your own routines in that same methodical way. Okay, and then lastly we have the Judgment card, which, you know, this is kind of like traditionally about literally the end of days, the trumpet sounds, and you know, the choirs of angels sing, and people are waiting to be judged as good or evil, whether they're getting into heaven or hell. I tend to take this card a little bit more about like your everyday judgments. So I feel like it's actually, because judgment with the wings and the, you know, apocalypse of it, apocalypse, which by the way just means revelation. I feel like this is all just about revealing to yourself what those routines are and how they're impacted by the stars, and really getting to know yourself on that you know, deeper level. Know the universe, know thyself. You will learn so much about everything the more you get into astrology. I can speak to that for sure. But I feel like this is just more about the awareness. It's about the apocalypse and the revelation to your own mind of things, routines, things that you are doing, patterns that you are playing out that you just are totally not aware of. And I think that that is ultimately the message here. And by doing that, by getting to know yourself and your own patterns and your routines on that deeper level, that will enable you to, first of all, once you know what your patterns and routines are, then you can make a judgment of, is this actually something that I want to keep doing or not? Like, so often we are just kind of unconsciously playing out patterns and we're not even aware of it. But then once you become aware of it, you can actually decide, which is a judgment, is this good or bad? Is this helping me or hurting me? And thus, do I want to continue doing it? And so it's sort of like cutting the wheat from the chaff in your own routines, in your own ideas, as you dance with all of that and making your decisions. And I feel like all of this process is going to enable you to embody that calm, confident queen of water as you dance with the winds of change, as you deepen, like you go, it's such a perfect as above, so below, because as you go deeper and root deeper and discover more about yourself, that is what enables you to shoot up here into the stars and beyond. And so that is just so beautiful. This is so exciting. And, you know, then we kind of just come back to the Magician and the Emperor and the fact that everything is connected, which is just this all over again, as above, so below, because it's all connected. What happens in the microcosm happens in the macrocosm. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So yeah, this is just such a beautiful reading. I really feel like there's a good opportunity here for everyone to get to know themselves a little bit deeper and, you know, achieve things in the next 6 months that we weren't even dreaming of previously, which is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna write the poem that is inspired by all of this, and then I will be back and read it for you. Okay, so I hope I was able to mostly get all of the cards that we used today in the shot. And for the final piece here, I'm just going to read the poem that I wrote for our summer solstice intuitive oracle poetry reading, guidance as to what we need to focus on for the next 6 months until the next solstice. Okay. As above, so below. As the universe, so the soul. As the wheel and spider spins, so the stirrings deep within pull you down dark and deep to examine the cycles that you keep. The world turns ever on, your daily life weaves the song that stardust trumpets loud and clear. Is this the universe you want to hear? As within, so without, Venus and Mercury leave no doubt that from within a light can shine if you muster the courage to dance with divine. Winds of change blowing strong and steady, only rooted confidence reveals you are ready. Stand tall and calm and flow without breaking. All you desire is there for the taking. Turning and playing, singing and leaping, the melody of your destiny is there for the keeping. As you track the stars and record your whims, you learn the lessons held deep within. The magic pours from you, the life of stars playing. By keeping the score, you will learn what it's saying. As the soul, so the stars, your wishes will find you both near and far. As the sky turns, can you join the dance? To find magic in the mundane, if you take this chance.